Hey guys, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Monday, everyone. It is time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. And the big news for today, which actually at least partially happened on Saturday, but I didn't show it, is the formerly pearl white 67 Beetle is now a Java green 67 Beetle. So our paint and body magician, Renee, he laid down some coats of base coat on Saturday, and then today he went over a couple little areas, took care of those where there was some small issues, and then laid down some more base coat, and then put, I think he said like 4 coats of clear. So there is a lot of clear on this thing. And as usual, you know, there's like a little orange peel here and there. It's not too bad, but this is why we put down a lot of clear, because then that gives us plenty of thickness to go and color sand it and buff it. So if you have heard the term color sanding before and not quite sure what that is, I don't really know why it's called color sanding. I guess maybe because it doesn't really do anything to the color as far as I can tell. It basically just, you're sanding the car once it's already in paint in color. So anyway, yeah, when you color sand it, basically what you're doing is you're smoothing out any orange peel or any defects like that are in the clear coat, which of course is on top of the base color. So, and basically then you take that down to like a mirror-like finish with progressively finer and finer sandpaper up to like maybe 2500 or 3000 grit. And then from there use like a polishing compound and like finally like buffing compounds. Essentially, like you go through sandpaper, finer and finer and finer, and then you go through compounds and polishes, finer, 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 until the thing is flawless, essentially. So that's kind of the process. So, but after you paint the car, you have to let the paint sit and dry for like days at least. We'll probably give it, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days. We'll see. And then at that point, Renee can go ahead and start doing the color sanding on it. And then eventually we'll give it over to our other guy who does our polishing and buffing. And yeah, so you guys will see this thing transform here over the next couple weeks or so. So far only the body itself is painted. You can see there's a door hanging there. There's the sunroof. This is, of course, a sunroof car. There's a deck lid. I don't even know where the other parts are. But yeah, for now, focusing on the main body shell here to get that in paint. And yeah, so far so good. Java green. I got all the colors are my favorite colors. I think every time we build a car in a new color, it becomes my favorite new color for a little while. And then Volkswagen had so many good colors, guys. Don't think I need to tell you that if you've been around Volkswagen. Just so many amazing colors, and Java green, of course, is no exception in that regard. Just really an amazing color. So anyway, guys, that is kind of the big news for today. So why don't we head in the shop and see what else happened. All right, guys, here we are back inside the shop. So let me go ahead and talk first about what oh my God, sorry, it's been a long day already. Anyway, let me go ahead and talk about what Mr. Rafa did today. So we are back on this bus here. Kind of took a little bit of a break from it last week. I had Rafa kind of concentrating on this beauty here because it's so close, guys. But you know, we got to just get this bus done and get it back to its owner. I had spent some time on it last week. I rebuilt the rear axle seals. I rebuilt the back brakes, and then Rafa kind of and I reinstalled the front King and Link assemblies and stuff like that. So Rafa kind of picked up today where I left off, and he fully assembled the front brakes, minus the drums, obviously. And then I took the front and rear drums over to our friends at Candido's garage to turn the drums down. The drums actually looked fine, but since we're putting on new shoes all the way around, it's best if they just go and clean those surfaces up a little bit, and everything will be brand new that way. But yeah, so he went ahead and put those on. I believe he also, he also reinstalled the shifter, which we had out because this bus just had like horrendous shifting issues. Like everything on the shifting linkage, all the bushings, everything were just completely toast and or missing. It's amazing he was even able to drive this bus because the shifting on it was so wonky. But now it should be good. I haven't felt it yet, but it's got all new bushings and everything in it, so shifting should be amazing on it now. So that went back in, and he also went, and because of course one of the original things that this bus came in for was a headliner, and there it goes. So of course, to put in a headliner, all of the windows essentially come out. So today, Rafa spent some time popping in skylight windows, which apparently went in without too much drama. We were able to actually remove the windows with the seals intact. And usually if you can do that, you can get them back in without too much trouble. So yeah, the skylight windows all went in with their respective seals. And then, so he put all those in, and then I think he also put back in the two fixed windows, this one and the one opposite that. And what else? He installed the back seat is in, except it was apparently missing the little brackets that the backrest itself kind of mount to towards the back of the body there. So we ordered those. Those are coming in. So yeah, interior's going back in, windows going back in. Hopefully we'll get our drums back tomorrow. Brakes will go back together and get bled. And then after that, I think it's just a matter of, taking it out for a spin, making sure the brakes, which again, everything on the brakes is brand new, are working good and adjusted properly and stuff like that. So hopefully, guys, I don't know if it's happening this week, but I would say probably by next week at the latest, this bus should be going back to its owner for them to enjoy much more safely, I might add, now than before, because the brakes were pretty much a failure waiting to happen. And again, wore out kingpin on this side. I mean, this bus had a lot of issues all over it, aside from the cosmetic things that we took care of. So yeah, the bus should be much more fun to drive, and more, as importantly, if not more, well, more importantly, is safe. So yeah, that was Rafa's day working on this pup. So me, I was kind of like jumping around today working on, I must have worked on 3 or 4 different cars today. Let's start with this beautiful orange baby here in the corner, this 70 Ghia. So I actually started in on its front suspension. So if you follow the channel, you know that I had a custom beam built for this car. There it is right there. So the reason I had a custom one built versus using an off-the-shelf one is primarily that this car is getting the big Willwood disc brake kit, it's actually getting Willwood disc brake kits front and rear. The front ones, at least from our supplier, only come with 2-inch dropped spindles. And the owner isn't totally sure he wants to go that low. He may want to keep it like closer to stock height. And so when you buy a narrowed and adjustable beam, pretty much without exception, if you buy it off the shelf, the adjusters are welded in such a way that they'll go from essentially like stock height. So again, I'm not talking about the spindles at this point, purely the beam and the angle of the torsion arms. So the adjusters are set to go basically from stock height and down. But again, since this car is getting 2-inch drop spindles, and he may not want to go 2 inches low, I had the adjusters put in what I would call like in the middle. So the adjusters, when they're set in the middle, is basically stock height as far as, again, the angle of the arms. Forget about the spindles for now. So basically the middle is stock height, and then you can go either down lower or up higher from there. So the reason I had those put in that way is now, in theory, we could raise the car back up to stock height, even though it has 2-inch drop spindles. and then we can go to like a more subtle lowering, like maybe 1 inch or so, and really like be able to dial in the look that he wants. So again, if we just bought an off-the-shelf beam with adjusters set to go from stock down, he'd be stuck with that 2-inch lowering, and that may be too much for him. So now we have tons and tons of flexibility. Likewise, on the back, I did get adjustable IRS spring plates for it. And I think when I set those up, I'm going to set those up basically where the adjustment is pretty much raised up with the car all the way up, and set that angle of the spring plates at stock height. So the back also will be able to go from stock height and then lower from there. So yeah, we should be able to dial in this thing exactly how he wants it, the way we're setting the front and rear up. So pretty much from stock height, front and back, to any combination of down level or down with a little rake, or pretty much whatever he wants. So that's what we're doing with that. And so as far as this beam is concerned, again, he narrowed it by 3 inches, because the front wheels are going to be our 5.5 inch impy gas burners. And so they're a bit on the wide side. So I erred on the side of going a bit narrower on the beam. So 3 inch versus 2 inch, because if the wheels end up tucked in too far, we can always space them back out a little bit with spacers. However, if we just went, say, 2 inches and it wasn't enough, we'd be pretty stuck with wherever the wheels went up, or wherever they sort of fell in there. So again, really wanting to set this up with a lot of flexibility as far as, like where we're putting the wheels in the arches, the height, all of it, guys. So today, pretty much what I did was I assembled this beam as far as putting in the torsion leaves, which he also took and narrowed those to match the beam, and then assembling the adjusters and stuff like that. So a little bit of a pain, but not that big of a deal. So yeah, this is pretty much ready to go now. And in the morning, I should be getting the seals where the torsion arms go on, the pads where this thing goes against the body, some of the hardware, etc. So this beam may actually go on the car tomorrow. We'll see, guys. And or the rear trailing arms and spring plates may go on tomorrow. So we'll see. But anyway, that's kind of what happened on this one today. Since I'm standing here next to it, let's talk about the motor briefly for this car, the 68 Ghia. So just a little thing is I picked up a Bosch blue coil today from our friends over at Washburn's Metal, and looks amazing, kind of the icing on the cake. So it had a blue coil on it before, but it was very ugly and old looking. The stickers were long gone and stuff like that. So on a motor this pretty, where everything is, essentially new or nicer than new, we couldn't put an ugly coil on it. So there you go. It's a really nice touch having a brand new, genuine Bosch blue coil on it with all of its stickers and freshly zinc plated mount and all that good stuff. So that was about it for that one. For Big Blue, I did give it a little bit of love here. And basically what I did was, I wasn't totally happy with the intake manifold and how it was kind of sitting very near the alternator here. And I had it spaced that way as far as it could go without the tube of the centerpiece, not being somewhat inserted in here. So you really want that center tube. You want it at least a good bit of meat, maybe a couple millimeters or so at minimum, sticking inside these end castings. Well, when I set it up that way, so it was, again, a couple millimeters in here, the flange and everything for the throttle body was really just kind of shoved up against the alternator here. And in fact, I even ground that flange a little bit on the adapter to kind of clear this, and this wasn't really super happy with it. So I pulled that intake manifold off and I sent it over to AJ at Low Bucket, who of course is the one that makes the fuel injection system. And he was actually going to weld an extension on that tube of the manifold center section so that it can go in here a little bit further and I can move it that way a little bit. And I'm talking like maybe 1/8 of an inch, but just kind of the way the geometry is, moving it 1/8 of an inch or so more that way is going to give a lot more space kind of in here where that's near this flange on the alternator. So pulled that off, took it over to him. And the other thing I did, which is a small thing, of course, however, needs to be done, is I went ahead and opened up the intake manifold gaskets for the heads. So these heads have a pretty nice round port on them, and the gaskets, of course, come with like a stock port on them. So went ahead and cleaned those up and essentially match ported the gaskets to the heads and manifolds. So those are ready to go on now. So they're just kind of waiting there. I did also find out, by the way, guys, that the air conditioning system for Big Blue here has shipped as of, I think it shipped like Wednesday last week. I was kind of surprised because they said they would send shipping information and I never got it. And so I texted them today and they said, oh, no, it actually went out Wednesday last week. So I think by Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, I'm supposed to have the complete air conditioning system here for beautiful Big Blue. And then I can start the somewhat tedious process of mocking up the compressor here with all of its various bracketry and stuff like that, and get all that fitted. And finally then I can pull all this tin off once I've done any trimming to accommodate those brackets and stuff, send all this tin off to powder coating, and then bring it back, assemble this motor, fire it up, and test run it, probably dyno it, and then put the air conditioner on it, and then start thinking about putting it in the car. So yeah, this thing is gonna start moving along pretty quick here. As soon as we get that AC unit, I've got a lot of mocking up and trimming and stuff to do to get it on there, and then it's gonna be game on with this one, guys. So stay tuned for that. The other thing I did, which I don't have to show you right now because it's outside, is the Sea Blue 64 Beetle. I gave it a really nice bath this morning, and there were a couple areas on a couple of the fenders that were just like a little scuffed looking, I guess from being in the shop and being worked on and stuff. So I had Renee go ahead and polish those out, buff those out. And so, yeah, it looks amazing right now. And I believe the owner is going to take that car this week. So I will try and do a thorough walk around of it before it leaves. Speaking of walk arounds, guys, I'm sorry. I know I promised a walk around of the red 65 sunroof Beetle that we did a headliner on. It left this morning, and I was kind of in headless chicken mode here trying to manage all these projects, and I forgot to do a walk around of it. But you guys know what our headliners look like, so it pretty much looked like that. Like amazing, super tight, beautiful, all that good stuff. So anyhow, guys, that would be it for today. So thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.